What if I told you that somewhere in the world right now, someone is traveling through time? Not with a time machine, not with futuristic technology, not with magic, but with a smell, a simple scent drifting through the air. Maybe it's the smell of fresh coffee. Maybe it's the scent of rain falling on dry soil. Maybe it's an old perfume. Maybe it's the smell of an old book. Or perhaps it's the aroma of a meal they haven't smelled in decades. And within seconds, something extraordinary happens. They are no longer standing where they are, at least not inside their mind. Suddenly, they are back in their childhood home, back in an old classroom, back on a summer vacation, back beside someone they haven't seen in years, back in a moment they thought was long forgotten. All because of a smell, a single scent, a few invisible molecules floating through the air. And perhaps the strangest part, the memory often returns with incredible clarity, more vivid than a photograph, more vivid than a video recording, more vivid than a story. As if time itself has folded in half, as if the years in between have disappeared. Why does this happen? Why can a smell unlock memories buried for decades? Why can the scent of rain instantly remind someone of childhood? Why can a perfume bring back memories of a person they haven't seen in years? And why do smells often trigger emotions more powerfully than sights or sounds? Tonight, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating mysteries of the human brain, a phenomenon involving memory, emotion, neuroscience, evolution, and one of the most underrated senses we possess. This is the story of why certain smells can trigger powerful memories. Let's begin with something most people never realize. Of all the human senses, smell is unique, very unique. When you see something, visual information travels through several processing centers before it reaches conscious awareness. When you hear something, sound signals also pass through multiple pathways. But smell works differently, very differently. The sense of smell has a remarkably direct connection to the parts of the brain involved in memory and emotion. And that changes everything. Deep inside your brain lies a small structure called the amygdala. The amygdala plays a major role in emotion, fear, joy, sadness, excitement, love, and many other emotional experiences. Nearby is another structure called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is heavily involved in memory formation, particularly long-term memories. And unlike other senses, the olfactory system, the system responsible for smell, has unusually direct access to both. Imagine a massive city. Most information has to travel through complicated roads and intersections, but smell has something like a shortcut, a fast lane, a direct route to the emotional and memory centers of the brain. As a result, smells become tightly linked to experiences, especially emotional experiences. This is why a scent can feel so powerful. It's not because smells are magical, it's because your brain is wired to connect them with important moments in your life. Now, let's travel back to childhood, because many of the strongest scent memories come from our earliest years. Think for a moment. Perhaps there's a smell that immediately reminds you of your childhood home. The scent of a particular soap, a favorite meal, an old wooden cabinet, fresh laundry, a classroom, a grandparent's kitchen, or rain during summer afternoons. Why are childhood scent memories often so powerful? Because childhood is a period of intense learning. Everything feels new, everything feels important. Everything leaves an impression. And during those years, the brain is constantly building connections between experiences and the sensory world, including smells. Imagine a child helping their grandmother cook. The kitchen is filled with aromas, spices, fresh ingredients, warm food. The child feels safe, loved, happy, comfortable. Without realizing it, their brain is linking those emotions to those smells. Years later, perhaps decades later, they encounter the same aroma. And suddenly, the entire scene comes back. The kitchen, the laughter, the warmth, the feeling of being loved. All of it. What's remarkable is that memory isn't just about facts. Memory is also about emotion. When a smell triggers a memory, it often brings the feelings back too. That is why certain scents can instantly make someone smile, or cry, or feel nostalgic, or experience a sudden wave of longing. Have you ever smelled a perfume and immediately thought of someone? Perhaps a former partner, a friend, a family member, someone who once played an important role in your life. Suddenly, their voice returns, their laugh returns, their face returns, their presence returns. For a brief moment, they feel close again. Scientists have a name for this phenomenon. It is often called the Proust effect, named after Marcel Proust. In his famous work, In Search of Lost Time, he described how the taste and smell of a small cake instantly brought back vivid childhood memories. At the time, it sounded like beautiful literature. But modern neuroscience suggests that Proust may have been describing something very real. Another reason smells are so powerful is that they often bypass conscious attention. Think about it. You may not notice every song playing in the background. You may not notice every image around you. But smells often work quietly, subtly, without demanding attention. And because of that, the brain forms associations automatically, without us even realizing it. Years later, when the smell returns, the memory can seem to appear out of nowhere, as if it had been hidden underground all along, waiting. Interestingly, not all scent-triggered memories are pleasant. Some can be painful. Some can be frightening. Some can be deeply emotional. Because the brain doesn't care whether an experience was positive or negative. It cares whether it was important. Emotionally significant experiences tend to be remembered more strongly, and strong memories are easier to reactivate. This is why certain smells can make someone uncomfortable, not because the smell itself is unpleasant, but because of what it represents, what it reminds them of, what it unlocks. This may also explain why the perfume industry is so powerful. Perfume companies are not simply selling scents. They are selling feelings, stories, memories, identity. Because humans don't merely smell fragrances, they experience the emotions attached to them. Imagine two people smelling the exact same perfume. For one person, it reminds them of their first love. For the other, it means absolutely nothing. The scent is identical, but the experience is completely different. Because what matters is not just the smell itself, it's the personal history connected to it. And perhaps that is what makes smell so extraordinary. It connects the present to the past. It bridges years, sometimes decades, in only a few seconds. In a world that constantly moves forward, where time never stops, smell possesses a rare ability, the ability to pause time, at least for a moment. The smell of coffee can bring someone back to mornings with their father. The scent of the ocean can revive memories of childhood vacations. The smell of rain can reopen forgotten summers.
The aroma of a meal can bring back someone who is no longer here. And for a brief moment, the past becomes alive again. Maybe that is why smells feel so special. Because they are more than molecules floating through the air. They are keys. Keys to hidden rooms inside the mind. Rooms filled with stories, filled with emotions, filled with moments we thought were gone forever. So the next time a familiar scent suddenly stops you in your tracks and brings back a memory you haven't thought about in years, remember this. You are not simply smelling something. You are opening a door to your past, a door to the moments that shaped who you are. Because in the end, certain smells possess a remarkable power. The power to reconnect us with forgotten memories. The power to awaken emotions that have been sleeping for years. And the power to remind us that no matter how much time passes, parts of our past never truly disappear. They simply wait, quietly, patiently, hidden somewhere inside us, until one day, a simple scent brings them back to life.